Welcome and welcome to Lunch with Legal. I'm Sarah Sexy, the City Attorney for the City of Great Falls. Lunch with Legal is an educational program designed to educate the City of Great Falls community about the City Attorney's Office and our legal department and how our department interacts with the various other city departments, city officials, and involves itself in city operations. Lunch with Legal is not intended to provide legal advice to private parties. It is purely informational, and if you are seeking legal advice, we recommend that you contact a private attorney. The City of Great Falls is overseen by our Mayor and City Commission, and on the screen before you is an organizational chart for the City of Great Falls. We have a commission manager form of government, which is a statutory form of government whereby the City Commission provides policy guidance to the city as a whole, and that policy guidance is enacted and put into place by the city manager. The city manager provides staff oversight for all of the city departments, and we also have a deputy city manager who is available to act when the city manager is unable to do so. You'll see on the organizational chart that along with the City Commission, to the left on the chart, there's a municipal court judge who's separately elected, and he oversees the municipal court operations where the criminal misdemeanor offenses are adjudicated, and a number of civil issues are adjudicated by the municipal court judge as well. To the right on your screen, there are a number of separate boards by which the City Commission appoints members to the Regional Airport Authority, the Great Falls Housing Authority Board, the Cascade City County Health Board, the Library Board, the Business Improvement District, Tourism Business Improvement District, Advisory Commission on International Relationships, Great Falls Transit District, Cascade County Conservation District Board of Supervisors. Now, if you go down the center of the organizational chart, you'll see that the Deputy City Manager oversees the animal shelter operations, the City Clerk, the Civic Center events, information technology, and the Neighborhood Council Coordinator. The various departments are also set forth on the organizational chart, as you can see, and they include Great Falls Fire Rescue, and there's an EMS advisory board that works closely with Great Falls Fire Rescue, the Great Falls Police Department, which also works with the Police Commission and the Police Advisory Board, the Legal Services Department, which we're providing you the overview for today, Public Works Department, Finance Department, formerly known as Fiscal Services Department, a Park and Rec Department, where we have a Park and Rec board, and a Golf Advisory Board works closely with Park and Rec. Planning and Community Development Department, and the Planning and Community Development Department works closely with the City County Historic Preservation Advisory Commission, Community Development Council, the Design Review Board, Parking Advisory Commission, Board of Adjustment and Appeals, Planning Advisory Board, and the Zoning Commission. And all of those folks are separately appointed by the City Commission, the members on those various boards and councils. We also have a Human Resources Department, and there is the Great Falls Housing Authority that has an executive director who is a city employee, and the staff at the Housing Authority are city employees. And the public library has the same type of arrangement as the Great Falls Housing Authority. The legal department has two divisions over which the city attorney's office provides oversight. Those are the civil division, including the city attorney and the assistant city attorney, and the criminal division where we have a chief prosecutor and deputy prosecutor. Throughout these Lunch with Legal programs, you will hear from all four of the lawyers in these departments, and including myself, Sarah, and Joe Sick, who is our assistant city attorney, Neil Anthon, who is our chief prosecutor, and Cassidy Blomgren, who is the deputy prosecutor. The civil division responsibilities include advising the city manager and the city commission and the city departments on various legal issues, including risk management, risk reduction, contract negotiation, city code enforcement, which currently is overseen by our assistant city attorney, Joe Sick, personnel and human resource issues, civil lawsuits involving the city, and legislative procedures. We also assist the city in ordinance and resolution drafting. We contract with the Great Falls Housing Authority to provide legal representation on landlord-tenant issues, and we provide representation to the city with regard to driver's license reinstatement litigation and criminal appeals to district court. The criminal division responsibilities handled by the chief prosecutor and the deputy prosecutor are quite robust. In 2016, the Great Falls Municipal Court had the third highest number of criminal filings of Montana courts of limited jurisdiction, which would include justice courts, municipal courts, and city courts. Our city prosecutor's office handles, on average, around 10,000 cases per year. The criminal division is vested with a responsibility to prosecute all the misdemeanor offenses in Great Falls Municipal Court and provide conflict prosecution services to other municipalities and Cascade County. So in there are instances where the lawyers, for one reason or another, in some of the other municipalities or in Cascade County are unable to, for conflict reasons, represent in their usual capacity, our attorneys will assist on a reciprocal basis and fill in for those lawyers, and they in turn come and assist us when we have the same kinds of conflict issues. The criminal division also assists crime victims and witnesses through the litigation process as part of our prosecution of cases, and we seek to obtain appropriate justice for the citizens of Great Falls. The types of cases that are prosecuted by the criminal division are going to be discussed later on in this program by our chief prosecutor. They include driving under the influence, misdemeanor domestic violence, such as a partner family member assault cases, traffic infractions, misdemeanor theft, and trespassing. There are a number of areas that provide the bases for our giving legal advice to the city of Great Falls. Both divisions of the city attorney's office provide advice based on federal law, which is codified in the United States Code, and also under Montana law, which is codified in the Montana Code Annotated. We also more locally look to the official code of the city of Great Falls, which is found at the Muni Code, which is the link to that is found on the screen here, and it's also available on the city's website, which is www.greatfallsmt.net. In addition to codified law, we look at the administrative rules both under federal and state law, and we provide less formal law through city resolutions, and we utilize those from the City Commission in terms of providing advice to the city representatives as a whole. Finally, we also look to case law, which interpret all of these applicable laws in order to provide representation to the city. Ultimately, the goal of the City Attorney's Office is to provide the city with professional and quality legal advice to help protect the health, safety, welfare, and civil rights of all of its citizens. This Lunch with Legal program is intended to help our City Attorney's Office be more open and accessible to the people it serves and to increase the public's understanding of the work that the City Attorney's Office performs. If you have input for future episodes or have questions or issues, Lunch with Legal would like to hear from you. They can be suggested via email to lunchwithlegal@greatfallsmt.net. So you may submit your suggestions for future episodes, or if you have questions which we may consider for future programs, we will look at those through that email link. Next, we will be having an update on snow removal by our Assistant City Attorney, Joseph Sick, and enjoy the rest of the program, and thank you very much.
Hi everyone out there. My name is Joseph Sick. I'm the Assistant City Attorney for the City of Great Falls here, and today I'm going to be talking about the city code regulations regarding snow removal on private property. So I'm going to get back to the PowerPoint for a moment. There's the introductory statement to my segment of the show today. As it was stated earlier, this show is intended to be informational only, and nothing about this program establishes an attorney-client relationship between the City of Great Falls, its attorneys, and its viewers. Questions regarding a specific legal issue should be addressed to a private attorney. All the information provided today is current and legally accurate up to today's date. Now, many people don't understand. First off, happy holidays, and it looks like the snow came just in time for this segment of the show to be presented. Many people need to realize that the official code of the City of Great Falls is the codified version of all ordinances passed by the City Commission. It's essentially the laws under which the city is regulated. Now, those ordinances do in fact at times impose responsibilities upon property owners. For instance, Title 12, which regulates the maintenance of city streets and sidewalks, has regulations regarding snow removal on private property. The code itself goes through Titles 1 through 17, Title 17, and provides different topics for each title. For instance, Title 17 provides for land use, Title 6 is for animal regulations. This code is available on the city's website or at the city clerk's office for you to be able to review. Now, snow removal responsibility. In Title 12 of our code, we have different sections that regulate snow removal. The first is OCCGF 12.32.030, which states that it should be the duty of the owner and tenant of any premises within the city to keep the sidewalk in front of the adjoining premises free from obstructions, subject to the special conditions set out in sections 040 through 060. So if you own property in the City of Great Falls, it's important for you to understand that you need to stay on top of your snow removal duties. Now, moving on to section 040, it tells us exactly when and at what times the snow, ice, and similar material need to be removed from the sidewalks of adjoining properties. Snow and ice and similar material that is accumulated during the preceding hour shall be removed from the sidewalks and commercial areas before 11 a.m. That is very important for individuals who own businesses here in the City of Great Falls to know by 11 a.m. you have to have that material removed each day and shall be removed from residential areas within 24 hours after the snowfall. Once cleared, all sidewalks shall be kept clear of snow and ice and similar material. Now, this does not have to be the owner removing the snow, ice, or similar material. However, an owner, along with any tenants that they might be renting to, are essentially responsible to make sure that these activities are taken care of within the designated times. The next question you might be thinking about is, well, where do I put the snow if I've got to get it off of my sidewalk? Well, the code establishes those regulations as well in Section 050 of Chapter 32, Title 12. Snow and ice and similar material will be removed from sidewalks and commercial areas and shall not be deposited on adjoining streets, avenues, alleys within 2 feet of the curb line. The removing of snow from individual private properties, be advised not to put that onto those areas as well. Additionally, it might be interesting to note that this provision may change here in the near future to require that in addition to these restrictions, the snow and ice may not be deposited on adjoining properties. Best practice is to deposit the snow on your own property where it can melt safely. Title 12 also regulates other obstructions that cannot be in the sidewalk. Title 12 requires that other types of sidewalk obstructions be cleared and provides that it is the duty of the property owner or tenant to remove such obstacles. Obstacles include vehicles, material. There's even reference in Title 12 to clothing being an obstacle on the right-of-way. So try to make sure as much as possible to keep the sidewalk out in front of your property as clear as possible from any types of things that might hinder traffic. And that does include ice and other similar materials. Now, then I suppose the question would become, well, what's the ramifications for not abiding by these regulations regarding snow removal? Well, Section 12.32.090 establishes a penalty provision. Violation of this chapter shall be deemed a misdemeanor, and any person violating the provisions of this chapter may be fined an amount not to exceed $500 or imprisoned up to 6 months for any one single offense. Now, our code enforcement system, as you'll see in future episodes, is complaint-based. We don't have snow police going out on a regular basis, checking private properties to make sure that the snow and ice is being removed appropriately. However, if you have an individual that is in your neighborhood that you wish to have this issue brought to the attention of the city code enforcement staff, code enforcement complaints can be picked up at the Planning Community Development Department, or they are available online. Filing the written complaint will start the code enforcement process, which could lead, as you'll find out in other episodes, to different remedies trying to fix the problem ultimately. Other things to be aware when it comes to snow and ice in this time of year, which luckily we did in fact start to get some snow today, are issues regarding emergency snow routes. Title 12, Chapter 33 provides those regulations regarding those types of snow routes. What is an emergency snow route, you ask? The city manager or designee is authorized to declare a snow emergency when, in their opinion, an emergency exists in the city or in a section or parts thereof because of snow, freezing rain, sleet, snow drifts, or other natural phenomenon which create or are likely to create hazardous road conditions or impede the free movement of fire, health, public, police, emergency, or other vehicular traffic, or otherwise endangers the safety and welfare of the community, and shall remain in effect until the snow has been plowed to the curb lines or removed from the street. Now, the emergency snow routes are designated on this slide, and they are dictated by Section 12.33.020. As you can see, many of the main thoroughfares here in the city of Great Falls are designated as emergency snow routes, either portions thereof or in their entirety. So, in a case of a snow emergency, these would be roads and streets that you would not be able to park on in order for the snow to be removed and for emergency services to be able to use those streets. Refrain from parking in these areas during those times for your safety and for the safety of others. The question I'm sure you're asking now is, how do we find notice that if such an emergency has been declared? Well, Section 030 of that chapter says when signs have been erected, giving notice thereof. So if there is an emergency, you will see the signs. It shall be unlawful for any person to stop, stand, park, or leave unattended a vehicle upon designated snow route within the city during a snow emergency. Parking may be resumed on individual streets as soon as the snow has been plowed or removed. This provision shall not prohibit the stopping of commercial vehicles for periods sufficient to load or discharge passengers from such vehicles. Commercial vehicles include school buses, which is why that was an exception to this regulation. If a person parks in these areas when they've been noticed by signage that this is a snow emergency and this is an emergency snow route, a motor vehicle that has been stopped, parked, or left unattended after the inception of a snow emergency upon the designated emergency snow route within the city, said vehicle is declared to be a traffic hazard and the chief of police shall order the vehicle removed at the owner's expense. That would be the consequence if you're parked in violation of these regulations during a snow emergency, and that provision is 12.33.040. Again, notice of such emergency shall be given by press, radio, and television, and the news media shall be requested to cooperate with the city officials and when given such notice to constitute due process and proper notice. So in addition to the signs that we talked about earlier, you're also going to see news announcements, you're going to see things in the newspaper, announcements on the radio, letting you know that we're in the course of a snow emergency, so please refrain from parking on the emergency snow routes. If you have any questions regarding street maintenance, including snow removal regulations, you should contact the Great Falls Public Works Department. That number is provided to you on this slide, 406-727-8390. Thank you for watching to this portion of the show. Stick around for a criminal court and jurisdiction in Great Falls and Montana, presented by Neil Anthon, the Great Falls Chief Prosecutor. Thank you, and we'll see you next episode.
Good afternoon. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day today. Just as the City Attorney, Sarah Sexy, and the Deputy City Attorney, Joseph Sick, have previously told you, this program is intended for informational purposes only and does not constitute any legal advice. If you need some legal advice, you need to contact a private attorney. Nothing in this program will establishes an attorney-client relationship. So, like I said, and Joe said, my name is Neil Anthon. I'm the Chief Prosecutor with the City of Great Falls. I've been with the City of Great Falls for approximately 10 years in the criminal division. And I'm going to be giving a presentation about criminal court jurisdiction here in Great Falls and in Montana, most specifically Great Falls. And you may ask why? Why is this important? Why do we need to provide this information? Well, every day in Great Falls Municipal Court, it seems like somebody comes in with a ticket and says, where do I go with this? Where am I supposed to be seen? What court is the appropriate, has the appropriate jurisdiction? So we thought this information may be helpful. In addition to that, some basic understanding of the criminal courts in Great Falls and Montana can be helpful for all the citizens of Montana and the citizens of Great Falls. So, jurisdiction. What is jurisdiction? Jurisdiction is the authority of the court to rule on legal matters and try cases within a particular geographic area. So when I look at this, I see basically two parts. One, I see a court has the authority to rule on legal matters and try cases, and then it's limited within a geographical area. There are two types of jurisdiction in the sense of areas where a court can rule on legal matters or try cases, and those are civil law and criminal law. And this presentation is going to focus mostly on the criminal jurisdiction of courts. However, I am going to give some basic information about civil law to show the difference between the two. Civil cases will arise when one party brings a legal action against another party. Those parties can be individuals or businesses. Example of civil cases include tort actions like negligence. For an example of that, like the case that you may all be familiar with, the McDonald's hot coffee case. That was a negligence action. It could also be under elder law, contract law, family law, estates, property law. There's a wide range of area that civil law covers. That is not an exhaustive list of what can be accomplished through the civil law, what issues can be addressed. Generally, in a civil case, the remedy that is being sought is monetary damages. However, it can also be include forcing a party to perform a specific task that it's obligated to perform. As both the city attorney, Sarah Sexy, and the deputy, Mr. Sick, described to you, we do not provide civil legal advice to the individual citizens of Great Falls. We have one client as the city attorney's office, and our client is the organization known as the City of Great Falls. So when you call us and ask us questions, we may not be able to provide you with legal advice. We'll try to be helpful as much as we can, but we may not be able to answer your specific question, and most likely will be direct you to a private attorney to get that legal advice. Often I get questions about, well, where can I find a private attorney? Who can I go to? I can't suggest an attorney for you to go to. I can't say, hey, this one's really good. My suggestion to you is to go to the phone book. That's a great place to find attorneys. Go to the phone book. You may also be able to go to the State Bar of Montana's website at montanabar.org, and they will have a list. They have a list of attorneys that may be able to help you. In addition to that, you may be able to find some useful information if you want to represent yourself, or just to gather some information. You can go to the Montana Supreme Court's website, as you can see it on the screen there. It's courts.montana.gov/supreme. They have some forms there that may help you if you want to represent yourself or give you some basic general information. So like I said, this presentation is going to deal mostly with criminal law. So what is criminal law? Those cases deal with a violation of a criminal statute. Generally, not generally, one of the parties is going to be the government, whether that is federal government, state government, city government. The government is going to be accusing an individual, the defendant, of violating the criminal statute. As Ms. Sexy spoke about earlier, those types of cases can include a wide range of things. That includes minor traffic citations, DUIs, assaults, including domestic violence, theft, vandalism, which is called criminal mischief in the state of Montana, obstructing a peace officer, disorderly conduct, and hundreds of other potential violations of the law. If you are a criminal defendant and you are convicted, one of the main difference between civil law and criminal law is in civil law, you pay an amount of damages to, if you are found liable, you pay damages. In a criminal case, you are punished. And your punishment can include fines. You may have to pay restitution. That may include incarceration at the Cascade County Detention Center here in Great Falls, or potentially, depending on the type of crime, at the Montana State Prison. You may also have loss of other rights or privileges. For example, if you are convicted of a DUI, you may lose your right or privilege to drive in the state of Montana and elsewhere. In addition to that, one of the goals of the criminal justice system is to help individuals rehabilitate. So you may also be forced to, if a defendant is convicted, they may be forced to participate in rehabilitation programs. So like I said, this presentation is an overview of the criminal court justice system. It is not intended to give every minute detail of the criminal law process or the jurisdiction. So if you have any questions, you need to contact an attorney. And you may be able to contact us. We can give some general information. So there are two types of criminal offenses, essentially. There's felony and misdemeanors. And this is important when it comes to criminal jurisdiction, because depending on what you've been charged with will determine what courts you will need to go to resolve the case or to address the case. The first of those is a felony. That means somebody that's been charged with a crime and the conviction carries with it potential death, the death penalty, or exceeding 1 year in jail. On a misdemeanor offense, it is 1 year or less. So those are the differences between the two criminal charges, felonies and misdemeanors. Now, you can find out if it's a felony or misdemeanor through the origins of the criminal law. Where can you find those? Well, there's the federal criminal law, the state criminal law, and then local criminal law. And those each have a different location where you can find those. As you see on the screen right now, federal criminal law comes from us when Congress, the House of Representatives, and the U.S. Senate pass a bill, and the president signs it into law. And those codes can be, that law can be found at the U.S. Code, and Title 18 specifically deals with the criminal law. There's a whole bunch of other laws that are involved there that you can look up also, but Title 18 specifically deals with criminal. The state law is enacted same way, essentially the same way the federal law is. The Montana House of Representatives and the Montana Senate pass a bill, and the governor, signs that bill into law. You can find that at Montana Code Annotated, and you can see the website up there on the screen at this point. There are many titles on Montana Code Annotated. Title 45 and 46 specifically deal with criminal law. Criminal law, the violation of the law, usually Title 45, and procedural issues in Title 46. Additionally, Title 61 deals with traffic offenses. However, there are other criminal statutes located throughout Montana Code Annotated. Lastly, you can have local criminal law. And as Ms. Sexy described earlier, that is enacted by your local city commission or perhaps by the county commission. I'm focusing here because I deal with the city on the city laws. Again, you can find the city law at the city webpage that Ms. Sexy gave you earlier, Great Falls, MontanaMT.net, I believe. Is that correct? So, and then you can find out from there if it is a, you can look up the statute and make a determination whether it is a felony or a misdemeanor. Now, here in Great Falls, there are 4 different courthouses that we have. 4 different courts, I should say 3 courthouses, 4 different courts that are located in Great Falls, Montana. The first of those is the United States District Court for the District of Montana. They are dealing with the federal crimes. That's on the criminal jurisdiction. They deal with the federal crimes. Additionally, you may, if you get a traffic ticket out on the base, you may deal with the United States District Court because they would have proper jurisdiction there. Then there's the 8th Judicial District for the state of Montana, and the Cascade County Justice Court, and the Great Falls Municipal Court. And each of those courts have a different jurisdiction. So let's talk about what each of those jurisdictions are. The United States District Court of Montana, you can see the picture up there. It's located at 125 Central Avenue West. They have, in general, they have, on criminal cases, they have jurisdiction over federal crimes committed within the state of Montana. There are 5 different federal courthouses in the state of Montana. There's in Great Falls, Billings, Butte, Helena, and Missoula. All have a courthouse, and like I said, the one pictured is the one here in Great Falls, Montana. So that covers the federal court. So this slide, I was able to pull off actually the Montana Supreme Court's webpage, and it talks about the Montana courts. As you can see up there, there are lots of different courts that I didn't name that aren't located here in Great Falls, Montana. There's the water court, there's city courts. None of those, we do not have a city court in Great Falls. We have a municipal court here. We do not have the water court. The Supreme Court is located down in Helena. So I'm going to focus mostly on the center. If you go across the middle of the slide, you've got the municipal court, district courts, and justice courts. Those are the courts that I'm going to be talking about in this presentation. So the 8th Judicial District for the state of Montana, it is located at 415 2nd Avenue North. You can see the picture there. That is an old picture. I believe they have a gold dome on it now. The Cascade County District Court, as it's often called, deals with felony criminal cases, generally deals with felony criminal cases that occur within the boundaries of Cascade County. That can include offenses that occur within the city of Great Falls. The city of Great Falls is within Cascade County. Generally, those are investigated by the Cascade County Sheriff's Office or the Great Falls Police Department. There are 4 district court judges here at the Cascade County District Court. Those are the Honorable Judge Pinsky, Judge Best, Judge Kuntzman, and Judge Parker. So again, if you are charged with a felony matter, you will be going to the district court to handle those things. And we find that out because of Montana Code Annotated Section 3-5-302, which lays forth the jurisdiction of each district court. It says the district court there has original jurisdiction in all criminal cases amounting to a felony and all other cases of misdemeanors not otherwise provided for. In addition to that, so they have original jurisdiction over felonies and under few circumstances misdemeanors, and they also have concurrent jurisdiction with justice court over misdemeanors arising out of the same transaction as a felony case. So for example, if a person was charged with a homicide and was also charged with a disorderly conduct in the same incident, they would both go to, despite the fact that one's a misdemeanor and one's a felony, they would both go to Cascade County District Court. They also will handle cases resulting from a felony case, but then goes down to a misdemeanor. And then misdemeanors that may be pled down to or involve a lesser included offense. The district court can also form some specialized courts under Montana Code Annotated 3-10-303. They can, with the consent of the other judges of the courts of limited jurisdiction, also deal with drug treatment court or a mental health court. They may form those courts, including a veterans court, which is what we do have that here in Great Falls. And they can then handle misdemeanor cases. So that's one of the few cases where they can handle misdemeanor cases. The next court that we need to talk about is Cascade County Justice Court. In general, well, again, you can see the picture. It's located the same location as the District Court, 415 2nd Avenue North. The Justice Court deals with misdemeanor cases that occur within the boundaries of Cascade County. The Cascade County Sheriff's Office or the Highway Patrol will generally investigate those cases. There are 2 Justice of the Peaces. One of those is Judge Fangenstrom, and the other is Judge Jolly. Judge Fangenstrom have included in there the term Esquire at the end, and I do that on specific purpose because Judge Fangenstrom is an attorney. He is licensed to practice law in the state of Montana, but you do not have to be an attorney to be a Justice of the Peace. Mary Jolly is not. Not that either of them have different authority. They both have the same authority, but it's just interesting to note that a non-attorney can be the judge for Cascade County Justice Court. Here's a statute that gives the authority to the criminal jurisdiction authority to the Cascade County Justice Court. And essentially, I won't go through the whole thing. You can read it there. But it deals with misdemeanor offenses as the vast majority of cases that they deal with. And lastly, and most importantly, depending on your circumstances, is Great Falls Municipal Court. That is the court that I appear in every day, and as Ms. Sexy said, the other prosecutor, Cassidy Blomgren, appear. They have jurisdiction over misdemeanor cases that occur within the boundaries of Great Falls, and generally the Great Falls Police Department investigates these cases. The judge is Judge Stephen Bolstad. This slide deals with, as you can see, the law that gives the authority to Great Falls Municipal Court. In addition to that, although it's not necessarily always criminal, it also has exclusive jurisdiction under 3-11-103 of Montana Code Annotated, any civil matter that arises out of a city ordinance. So on the screen right now is a ticket or an NTA, a notice to appear, that will be issued by Great Falls Municipal Court. So if you get a citation, and that's what it looks like, then you need to appear in Great Falls Municipal Court. And Great Falls Municipal Court is located at 2 Park Drive South. It's at the Civic Center, if you know where the Civic Center is about. You may be asking yourself, well, what about juveniles, though? A minor, somebody who is younger than 17, is charged with a criminal offense, whether it be a felony or a misdemeanor, will be seen in youth court. Okay, and that acts under the direction of the 8th Judicial District Court, or the Cascade County District Court. The one exception there is minor in possession of alcohol and minor in possession of tobacco ticket. Although those may be potentially criminal, there is specifically carved out an exception to allow Great Falls Municipal Court to handle those cases. In addition to that, even if you are a juvenile under Montana Code Annotated 41-5-206, a minor may be charged as an adult, and that depends on the discretion of the Cascade County Attorney's Office and if it meets certain requirements. Continuing on juveniles, so just some information of kind of where you will go. And this doesn't necessarily just apply to juveniles, but it will apply to everybody. So in general, if the investigating law enforcement agency is the Great Falls Police Department and you're charged with a misdemeanor, you go to Great Falls Municipal Court. If you're being investigated or have received a ticket from the Cascade County Sheriff's Office, then you'll most likely, and it's a misdemeanor, you'll go to Cascade County Justice Court, particularly if you're a juvenile, or the Montana Highway Patrol. If it's a traffic ticket, you'll go to Cascade County Justice Court. Found a couple of web pages that may be helpful that give an overview of the jurisdiction of Great Falls Municipal Court. And we'll go into more detail than I've gone into in this presentation. May also talk about the Montana Supreme Court, what jurisdiction they have, and other types of jurisdiction, appellate jurisdiction and whatnot. The State Bar of Montana actually has a guide to the Montana courts, and you can find it as a first edition. My understanding is they're going to be coming out with a second edition soon, but you can find it at that web page. Again, you can find helpful information also at the montanabar.org, at the Montana State Bar Organization's website, and the Montana Judicial Branch website, which is courts.montana.gov. So that concludes essentially my presentation today on criminal court jurisdiction in Great Falls, Montana. As Ms. Sexy said earlier, we are going to be doing these presentations once a month, generally on the third Tuesday at noon of every month. And if you would have a topic that you would like to address, if you have questions, concerns, please email those to us at lunchwithlegal@greatfallsmt.net. And we may be able to, depending on the type of question, be able to answer those or give some general information to guide you along your path. The next Lunch with Legal episode is going to be entitled So I Got a Ticket, and will be presented by Ms. Blomgren and myself. And it's going to give some basic general procedural information about if you get a ticket in Great Falls Municipal Court, what you can expect, how it occurs, what happens if you plead guilty or not guilty, and those options you have there. Lastly, just as a reminder, this program is intended for only informational purposes and does not constitute legal advice. If you need legal advice, you need to contact a private attorney. Thank you very much for your time, and you guys have a wonderful holiday season.